live night with some art requests. And note, we're gonna be starting with a blank space canvas, so we can see, so we can let our creativity flow. And whatever you would love for me to draw, let me know right here, so I can get drawing. And thank you everybody who is here tonight. I do realize that tonight is not my usual night. I usually do my art streams on Sundays at 8:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, aka Disneyland time. Thank you everybody who's able to make it. And I do realize that YouTube is having a little glitch with the viewership count and the live chat. So if I see 0 people here and if I see 0 chats, that must be YouTube glitching around. And if you don't see a chat, please be sure to leave another chat. Yeah, I also raise, and I also do, hello CJL. I also do raise that Richard is live from Disney Magic and Mayhem. He's drawn Donald Duck. So if you do want to see me and Richard live at the same time, I recommend going on over to the Disney Streamer Network. That's where you can watch up to 46 views. Woo! And that's where you can see me and Richard at the same time. If you enjoy watching double streams at the same time, hello, Gutty, good to see you. It's a small world after all. It's a small world after all. Hello, Sierra, it's so good to see you. What is up and how are you doing? And right now we're just drawing the It's a Small World clock tower, since Gutty showed up singing It's a Small World. Definitely a Disney icon, a Disney classic. It used to be my favorite ride before Tower of Terror, and now it's my second favorite ride on the entire planet. It's a Small and Tower really do belong together each and every day, and there's no denying that. Otherwise, you might need to take a swim in the Nile with a whole lot of denial. Oops, and I realized I messed up the clock tower. That thingy should have been on the other side. That triangle should have been on that side. Well, it looks like we're in a river of denial where we draw clock towers wrong too. So when times get good, sometimes you get so fed up with a good time that you forget how to draw a clock tower. What a life. So here it is. The It's a Small Clock Tower from Walt Disney World. So does anybody else have any other requests? If not, we're just going to be drawing a bunch of random Pixar characters. And heck yes, I can draw Groot. Yeah, another icon. Another little Easter egg about Groot is if you look in the Disneyland app, then you go to Disneyland, then you go to the DCA park map, then you gotta zoom in the Mission Breakout, and that is where Groot is. Oh my gosh, yeah, oh my gosh. The spaceship of Tower Hotel. Yes, please and thank you. This is getting better and better by the night. Supersized Groot. This is what happens when Groot gets enlarged by Ant-Man's enlargement machine. So if anybody's been on a Disney treasure, you got and ended up in the Avenger dining room, there was a scene where Ant-Man literally exploded a tower strong the size of the room. I won't give any more spoilers, but that's where I get that from. Another thing is, I just realized I say the word "and" a lot. If someone challenged me to speak for 30 seconds without saying the words "and" like an well, I'd be out. I'd be saying "and" like bam. Like and subscribe. Bye. I'm out. So that would be the end of the contest for me. There was a radio station that actually hosted that contest. The very first person who showed up on the contest was like, hi, I'm calling in for the contest. I like radio. I like telephones. I like video games. I like Christmas trees. I like the Hollywood Tower Hotel. Bye. And they were out within 38 milliseconds off to a strongest start, allegedly. So yes, I realize I talk super duper fast. So now let's do the spaceship of Tower Hotel, followed by Rocket Raccoon as requested by CJ and Sierra. So this is how you draw the spaceship tower hotel thingy of First, you draw a grand and miraculous spear. 9 out of 10 times, it looks like an egg because of human error. Then, you draw its little legs, as if it's landing like a little UFO in the middle of Hollywood Studios in Epcot. But if you want to get really fancy, don't forget to draw a moat around it because, unlike the actual spaceship Earth, it is a floating castle vessel that also Tinkerbell lives in. Also, fun fact, this is all alleged, and please don't sue me, Disney. But look, you see on the backside of the tower, you see that this tower has a chimney. Guess what? This is allegedly where Tinkerbell launches out of every single night before she flies over the Magic Kingdom. She does got a mighty long way to go. Just because the distance between Hollywood Studios and the Magic Kingdom is 3.3 miles away, so Tinkerbell would have to fly from this little chimney, whoop, all the way across to the Magic Kingdom. Boop. So yes, this is where Tinkerbell launches out of, and this is where Tinkerbell lives. And if you're in denial, go back to denial and get yourself some O2H. See how it says, I like big towels and I cannot lie. I like big towels and I cannot lie. Now, back to the grand and miraculous spear. So, what you do after you draw the spear, you must draw the sign. Because a spaceship is not complete without branding. Otherwise, the UFOs have no clue where to land, or what planet they are on. So, you gotta brand your spacecraft. This spacecraft will not be very good for stealth or combat fighting, because if you try to do stealth and combat fighting, the first thing the radars would pick up is the Hollywood Tower Hotel, especially if your pilot or captain or whatever chooses to illuminate the sign. And for even actual illumination, be sure to turn on the entire spear of LED lights, which were installed in the early 2000s. The Hollywood Earth Hotel. So this is the Hollywood Earth Hotel. So there you have the Hollywood Earth Hotel. Mama Medulla. Alright, so we can do Rocket Raccoon. No, guess who's going to be our very first passenger guess who's going to be the first passenger of this uncommon elevator Earth ride? I present to you, drumroll please, Rocket Raccoon. So hang on to the rockets because we'll lighten up the sky like baby your firework. Most times when I'm talking, I have very little clue of what I'm saying or where it's even going to go. So because of YouTube's magical power and gusto, we now have 0 viewers and a whole bunch of people chatting. So thanks YouTube. Thank you YouTube for showing me the power of 0 being the hero. For the longest time, I actually thought that Rocket the Raccoon was a hedgehog. Then I realized I was getting Sega mixed up with Disney and my Disney mixed up with Sega. I actually believed that Sonic the Hedgehog was a raccoon, even though the name Hedgehog was in his title. Sorry Sonic, sorry Rocket. I mixed up my mammal family. So here's Rocket Raccoon. I'm not sure why, but when I see Rocket Raccoon, all I can think about is Snoopy, just because of Rocket's personality. And I also find that Rocket's really sarcastic humor does remind me of Snoopy in a way. It's really hard to put a finger on, but that's how these characters are very similar to each other. And we just got another spam call. Adios. Spam call, goodbye. Saijian, bye-bye. Spam calls. It's a small one after all. Pardon me. So he got Rocket Raccoon having the time of his life, living it up. Or trying to at least. So here's Rocket Raccoon versus the Hollywood Tower Hotel. And now Gutty is asking, may you please draw the Mandalorian? One Mandalorian coming on up with a side of blue milk and green milk. Sam, I am red fish, green fish, blue fish, purple fish, Mandalorian fish, yada yada yada. Oh, Mandalorian is a person in a spacesuit helmet, not a baby Yoda. So not. Let's draw a baby Yoda, not a baby shark. I'm not even sure where I'm going right now, but we shall try. So this is how we draw a baby Yoda. Anybody remember the Furbies from the 1990s? That is what the baby Yoda Mandalorian reminds me of, is a 1990s Furby, especially with its big ears, with the big ears I meant, and the eye and the mouth and the eyes. Do you know that Furby gets really offended if you call a Furby a hamster or an owl? The Furby's like, no, I'm not a hamster, no, I'm not an owl. Another thing about the Mandalorian is that a Mandalorian is technically not a baby, despite its popular cultural nickname. Despite their popular cultural nickname. Alright, let me know if you can hear me or if I need to restart the audio. Glad to hear CJL. I'm very glad you can hear us. Welcome to the madness. So here you go. You got yourself a little Mandalorian. And a Mandalorian is not complete without a person wearing a helmet. Helmet Mandalorian. I'm not sure, but whenever I draw the Mandalorian's helmet, the top of the helmet looks like looks like a brain. So here you got a Mandalorian but in a helmet. So I do want to know what a baby Mandalorian does look like. An actual baby Mandalorian. If anybody else has any art requests, please let us know. Otherwise, we're just gonna keep drawing a bunch of Star Wars characters and a whole lot of randomness because I honestly have no clue when it comes to the Star Wars franchise. another vital thing about Star Wars is when one of like I believe it was Storm Pinball who was in charge of making the Star Wars themed pinball machine. Initially one of the really early developers actually developed a neon-induced playing field of bright pinks, purples, and blues. However, when they reviewed the play, when Lucasfilm reviewed the playing field, they were told Star Wars does not have any pink in it, so please redo the entire playing field without any neon pink or anything in it. So keep it really Star Wars. And they were like, oh, okay. Another really interesting tidbit about Star Wars, when it comes to the pinball machine, is that one of the programmers spent 3 hours reading over the trilogy script. And what was really wild is that the programmer could not leak the script or take the script anywhere. So he just sat outside of George Lucas's front patio for 3 hours reading the script. Oh, thank you so much, CGL. That means a lot. Let's see what characters we can draw. Mama Medulla. Beep beep. Anybody have any guesses to what this next character is going to be? Range Rover activated. And also, long-lived $500,000 a night Star Wars hotel. Honestly, I feel that if the Disney Star Wars hotel was a success, then we would have really likely gotten a Tower of Terror immersive themed dinner theater experience. When it comes to the future of themed Disney establishments, I just don't have a really good feeling about any of them coming to fruition, especially what happened to Star Wars. And I begin to wonder, did Disney have any Tower of Terror themed results in mind before the complete collapse of the Star Wars hotel? And if Disney did it all get cancelled? I'm also really hoping that Josh and Mom actually has been reading all the Reddit threads and hearing about all the Disney fans begging and pleading for a Tower of Terror hotel experience. If there was a Tower of Terror hotel that I could stay at, I'd be staying there every single time I went to Disney World if I could. Even if it was for one night, I'd be like, let's go, let's stay the heck yeah, woo! Best thing ever. That would be a dream and a wish come true at the same time, along with winning the Mega Millions and the Powerball, the lottery, and all the lotteries at the same time. Then I'd be in Garden Oaks. Another downfall about the Star Wars hotel is that Star Wars fans complain that the hotel was too clean and resembled too much like Star Trek. The trick about Star Wars is that Star Wars is set in a very grungy, seemingly post-apocalyptic future universe where everything is really grungy. But that makes a lot of trouble for hotel maintenance when it comes to when hotel maintenance has an issue between deciphering between real and fake dust. That is when the Haunted Mansion parlor went above and beyond on treasure. Not only did Disney create an immersive experience, but they actually made it something that maintenance could easily upkeep and clean. So I'm just really hoping that if Disney does pull off a Tower of Terror experience, that they'll take a very similar route as the Haunted Mansion parlor, and make the Tower of Terror, and use lighting effects rather than actual dust and dirt effects. Has anybody seen the Star Wars Christmas special? Thank you so much for Samantha. That means a lot. And welcome to the party. Woo! Thank you so much for subscribing. That means an absolute lot. Right now, we're drawing a bunch of random Star Wars characters, including the Wookiee from the Star Wars Christmas special. The infamous Star Wars Christmas special that got absolutely nowhere. And it only got released on the VCR. Only for allegedly all of the Star Wars Christmas specials to be buried in a desert in New Mexico. Oh wait, that's not the Star Wars Christmas special. That was E.T. Do you know that Sega's E.T. game performed so poorly that Sega allegedly buried the remaining copies in the New Mexico desert, only for some superfans to unearth all the video game cartridges years later. That is so awesome that you are a huge Disney and Star Wars fan. I'm curious, Samantha, do you prefer the first trilogy or the second trilogy? For me personally, I do prefer the first trilogy, including that features the that was directed by George Lucas and Lucasfilms. Except for The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens is the very first Star Wars movie that I actually saw in theater, which really got me hyped up. I meant to say The New Hope. That was the very first Star Wars series I ever watched. Samantha says, I love the old ones, but my favorite one is with Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren is a pretty good character. I haven't seen the new trilogy, so may I please have a little bit of information about Kylo Ren and what she does? One of my very favorite Star Wars attractions is Rise of the Resistance. That's basically the extent of my Star Wars knowledge is A New Hope, the first trilogy, and Rise of the Resistance. I actually don't have Disney Plus of all things, which might be a little strange, coming from a Disney Tower of Town enthusiast. Samantha's asking, but what is your favorite character from Star Wars? That's a really good question. My very favorite character from Star Wars is R2-D2, just because he's the easiest to remember, and I just can't get enough of him. Can't get enough laughs when he takes over Star Tours. No, don't do a bell. Beep, beep, beep. We did a bell. What about yours? For me, I'm personally more of a Guardians of the Galaxy fan, and I also enjoy the Ant-Man and the Wasp, but I don't really know much about that series at all outside of the Disney Cruise saga. When it comes to Marvel and superhero characters, my knowledge is rather limited. Most of my knowledge comes from theme park attractions only, since I don't really watch much. Since I really don't watch much television outside of YouTube. I've also seen a few Star Trek episodes, but that's been years ago. All I know is that Star Trek has a pinball machine, an arcade machine, and I used to have an Enterprise figurine along with a Star Tours slot machine. Unfortunately, the slot machine went kaput many moons ago, so no more Star Tours for me. And the unfortunate thing about Disney, there's only licensed the Star Wars slot machine for 2013. The reason that Disney quit licensing quit licensing Disney characters to the gambling industry is due to Florida's new laws that allow for more open gambling. That was what I recall hearing back in 2013. The sad thing about the Star Wars machine is that it was a server-based machine, meaning that that the casino had to have a special key and passcode to be able to run the machine. And since Disney pulled the licensing, casinos are no longer able to run the machine, even if they still have the CPU or the parts. Thank you so much for liking the video. Thank you so much, Samantha. That means a lot. CJO says, I love Princess Leia. And I also really do miss the actor who played Princess Leia. She was a legend. Long live her and Shirley Temple. They were both absolute legends. Same with Richard Drummond. And now you're steering the ship. Ah! Kaboom. I almost forgot this run thing from Star Wars. Star Wars is not complete without at least one of these dudes. Anybody have any guesses to who this might be? Luke, I'm your father. Honestly, one of the very few movie franchises I've gotten into is Avatar. A lot of people do say that. A lot of people do consider Avatar very overrated, and that the movie runtime, that 3-hour runtime, can be a little bit long and tedious. However, the movie gets really good if you can watch Avatar in 3D, IMAX, and with surround sound. That's a cherry on top. I've actually watched Water and Fire in 3D and on IMAX, which really enhanced the viewership experience and the quality. What's really strange, I just noticed this, is that when I used to take 3D animation classes, I actually modeled one of these Stormtrooper helmets. It took me like 3 days. It took me like 3 weeks to model this really stubborn helmet. Hello, Matthew. Good to see you. You came just in time for the Star Wars saga. Right now, we're doing Stormtrooper helmet, and of course, I'm talking about why it took me so long to model the bezel and the model one of these helmets when I used to do 3D animation. I got like a C-. So I ended up quitting 3D animation and going into digital design instead, which I have no regrets about. This little dot right there was the hardest, and yes, I can draw a Rise of the Resistance right vehicle. RTT2, quick, get the drones. Ah! Kaboom. No. Anything but the elevator. Oh no, anything but the elevator. I'm going up. Quick, get into the escape pods. Get ready to drop in 3, 2, and weep. Baby Tower of Terror, activate. I also really got my first F- when I was doing 3D animation class. I was supposed to animate and create a little fluid liquid machine, and unfortunately, I got an F- because I messed up all the geometry. I accidentally meshed together everything. It came out absolutely horrendous, so I got an F-. That was my very first F- I've ever gotten in school. Hello, good to see you, Amy Stitches Love. How are you doing? What's up? You came just in time for the Star Wars raid. So yes, we can draw the baby Tower of Terror, aka Rise of the Resistance ride vehicle. Another thing about Rise of the Resistance is that the show's building's height is rather deceptive because it's hidden behind a bunch of rocks. So you never think of it as being a drop tower until kaboom, you drop, which takes a lot of first-time riders by surprise. And that's why you hear a whole bunch of screaming as if you're dropping 13 floors on Tower Town. Most new riders do not realize that they're only dropping one floor. Another thing about rise that I realized is when people take the elevator up, they did not realize that they'll actually drop. They think they assume that they're on for a very slow descent, just like on Spaceship Earth. I'm glad to hear Stitch Love, that you're doing okay. So here we go, Rise of the Resistance vehicle activating in 3, 2, 1. Now, Rise of the Resistance. Rise of the Resistance. So this is how I draw a Rise of the Resistance Vicom. This will be my version. I know I'm not going. This is definitely not the official version. So bear with us. So this, as you might recognize, is an enemy base. So we start with the enemy base. And this, as you might recognize, is a service elevator that has gotten detached from its magically detached from its ride cables, and has somehow become completely autonomous, meaning that it can go through the 5th dimension. So it gets better. This, as you may recognize, is some elevator grills and the front of the Tower of Terror ride car if you pay extra close attention during the drops. Now, this, as you may recognize, is a little something familiar if you've ridden Rise of the Resistance. This, as you may recognize, is a droid. This, as you may recognize, is a droid who can drive, a drivable droid. And this, as you may recognize, is an AVG trackless vehicle. And Matthew, what's the good news? Bring it on. Let's hear it. And this, as you may recognize, is a really distorted drone who got pancaked. Not sure what's going on with the camera or the tripod, but let me correct. Whoop. And there we go. Let's hear all of the good news, Matthew. Let's make it rain good news. Because we really need some good news when it comes to Tower of Terror, especially given the Rock and Roll Coaster theme. That is so awesome to hear, Matthew, that you got yourself them theme park giant motion dice from Death Ad. How do you get yourself theme park giant motion dice? So this is what happens when you combine Rise of the Resistance and Tower of the Terror. No, not the elevator. Yep, so this is Rise of the Tower Hotel. Rise of the Tower Hotel. That's so good to know, Matthew. I didn't know that Theme Park Giant had a merch website. If Theme Park Giant ever releases any Tower of Tower merchandise, I'm swooping that up. Or even Tower of Tower inspired merchandise for copyright purposes. So there you have it. This, as you might recognize, is a service droid. I know it. We don't stop there because nothing can stop us now. So, what happens when you mix Star Wars and the Tower of Terror? We shall see. Thanks so much, Matthew. That means a lot. I'll take a look after I'm through here. Going up. Going up, going down, going once, going twice. What's your choosing? So, yes, Matthew's asking. Can you draw a rock and roller coaster starring the Muppets? Here it goes. Muppet time, woo! So this is how I envision the Muppets being incorporated in the rock and roller coaster. I'm honestly really sad that the Tower of Town is now the last Disney IP without the last Disney attraction without a Disney IP tied to it. And to me, I'm like really nervous just because I'm really worried about Tower of Town being rethemed into something completely unrecognizable and different. That's honestly why I was really scared yesterday, especially given the fact that Rock and Roller Coaster Aerosmith is no more. And honestly, that Tower of Terror dynamic is the one reason alone why I'm like really upset about the retheming. Usually when it comes to like a retheme, I'm like, yay, something fresh, freshen up the parks. But because of what happened in Disneyland California with Tower of Time Mission Breakout, that leaves me on the edge as a diehard Tower of Terror enthusiast. Literally, I get a feeling that if Disney ever rethemes the Tower of Terror in Orlando, the entire internet's going to erupt. Strangely enough, when it came to Rock and Roller Coaster, I didn't hear or see as much eruption on the internet because I'm guessing that Rock and Roller Coaster has been that Aerosmith is unfortunately a pretty outdated band, which makes me really sad. But yet people got really excited hearing that it's going to be the Muppets, and that Muppets gets another breath of fresh air in Disney. All right, that's good to know, Matthew. That Disney is likely going to keep the Tower of Terror IP just because of how popular it is. But what really perplexes me is why did Disney not keep the Rock and Roller Coaster IP if Rock and Roller Coaster was such a popular ride, even if people were not going for the band but only for the ride track itself. That makes me worried. Is that Disney did not keep the IP? That got me pretty concerned. So here's what I envision the Muppets looking like when they're riding the Rock and Roller Coaster, actually riding it versus posing for the photo. Hold on to your hats. Whoop. Oh, that really sucks, Matthew. But now, I'm just wondering. But now, what really gets me wondering is, would Disney be able to keep the CBS try its own license contract just because Aerosmith in 30 years, Tower of Terror is already 30 years old, and that could be a sign that Tower of Terror could get rethemed, which really got me nervous. Not sure why, but that's something I just keep talking about and can't stop thinking about ever since the Rock and Roller Coaster retheme. All right, and we are back, everybody. Whoop, we are back. I do apologize for the interruption. Got some more spammers. Gotta block all them numbers. Just like Pokemon, you gotta catch them all. So here's what happens this is what happens when the Muppets actually ride the Rock and Roller Coaster for the first time. Po Miss Piggy, Po Comet, Po Monster Animal. Ah! And that's what Rock and Roller Coaster looks like. That's what Rock and Roller Coaster looks like when you actually get to write it versus when you're posing for the cover photo, the album photo. And one more Muppet. This is how I think people would actually look like when they're writing it for the first time. I've never been on Rock and Roller Coaster just because of my dislike towards inversions or loop-de-loops. Only thing that I can only stomach feelings, only funny stomach tickles I can tolerate are the tail drops, and that's about it. I can't even go on any carnival rides or barnstormers. Oh no! Don't lose your drumsticks. I lost. Oh no! Don't lose your drumsticks either. And here we go. This is the Muppets on actual Rock and Roller Coaster. After they got through with the gigantic loop, actually not. They're on the loop-de-loop right now. Let me fix it. Let me fix it up. I've never been on a looping coaster, but this is how I imagine everybody looking like at the end of the night. Or more like at the beginning of the night before the cocktail reception party. Another thing that makes me sad is that Aerosmith did not show up to close out Rock and Roller Coaster. Unlike Muppet Vision 3D, where some of the Imagineers got to show up for the very last show. So there you go. Rock and Roller Coaster activated. And you know what's really funny is that they actually have a keyboard for the car's cockpit. That's rather different. What I find really bizarre is that Disney removed a gigantic red guitar from the Rock and Roller Coaster queue on my Disney app. I thought that Disney would have kept the guitar just because of how Disney is retheming, is keeping the guitar despite the retheme. I never thought in my entire lifetime that I would see Rock and Roller Coaster get rethemed. And yes, I can draw that gigantic, iconic guitar retheme. Here comes the guitar. It's going to be very strange going in studios and seeing a bright, vibrant guitar instead of the iconic red guitar. That's something I'm probably not going to get used to for years. And I begin to wonder if Muppets will be around for another 30 years, or just because of how quickly Disney seems to turn around IP these days, if this attraction is barely going to last a year, or even 10 years. So here's a gigantic red iconic guitar, but rethemed. I'm honestly very surprised that Disney is keeping the guitar, given what they did to the DCA Tower Towers facade by ripping out what was like a really beautiful facade and turning it into a spacecraft. So I'm just really surprised that the guitar I'm really surprised that the guitar gets to live another life. And also gets to live to tell the tale too. Beauty and the Beast, a tale as old as time. So there you go. A nice retheme of the guitar. That's getting no math. Maybe if Muppets tank, which I hope not, they could retheme it again with Aerosmith, which is a really interesting point because of what happened with the Jungle Cruise movie. Disney was going to retheme the Jungle Cruise movie around the newest movie. Unfortunately, the Jungle Cruise movie flopped in the box office, so Disney was like, nah, no more. we're not gonna be doing no more Jungle Cruise movies, so bye-bye. Same with Haunted Mansion. So I get a feeling that if this IP does tank, they might go back to Aerosmith or the Powerline or to any other band that plays at Epcot. Another thing I get is that the same logic will apply to Tower of Terror. If the Tower of Terror film does flop in the box office, there's a really good chance that Disney would continue renewing and negotiating with CBS, which I really hope so. So, I realize that we've been at this for almost an hour. Does anybody have any last art requests before we say goodnight? Or does anybody have anything that they wish that they could see drawn? So let us know. If not, we just keep drawing. If not, we just keep drawing on, trucking away and drawing more bumpets. The Electric Mayhem Summer Concert. Oh yes, definitely, Matthew. I can done Mickey Mouse Film Magic. Whoop! Here we go. The one and only Mickey Film Magic Activate. Bringing on the magic. And what I find wild is that sometime in 2014, Disney actually expanded the screen from the original movie screen to a panoramic screen. The original Film Magic show in the Magic Kingdom only consisted of one teeny tiny movie screen and an absolutely stitch of heck yeah, the most stitch to Mario. And here we go. Just for you, Matthew. Here goes Mickey's Film Magic. Oops. Thank you everybody for your patience. Got to readjust. And also Stitch from Stitch's Great Escape too. Can't forget Stitch and his Great Escape. Unfortunately, Stitch did escape from the park, meaning that Stitch is no more. Long live Stitch's Great Escape, which closed down in 2016. When I went there in 2023, when I went there, I was expecting to ride Stitch's Great Escape, only to hear that I got shut down. And I was like, wait, what the heck happened? I wrote it back in 2014, freaked me out, and gave me a bunch of nightmares. And you know what I just did? It's been such a long day. I nearly forgot to draw Mickey Mouse's ears. There's been times where I draw a character, and only for the character to have no ears. That's why I was thinking that Stitch's Great Escape closed in 2018. When I was there in 2023, the theater was still closed off and there was nothing going on, which really surprised me. I thought there would either been another show or another attraction. That would really like blowing me away is the fact that the theater remained closed in 2023 and even in 2020 and even in 2025 when I went for New Year's Eve. When I was in Disney in October, I didn't get to go to the Magic Kingdom because it was a holiday weekend and tickets were a little too pricey. So right now, we're going to be skipping the holiday. We're going to skip Magic Kingdom. But fortunately, we were able to get into Hollywood Studios and Epcot, which were my two go-to parks. Didn't do Animal Kingdom because usually when I'm in Disney, I usually go to all four parks. I also did not go to Animal Kingdom during my December visit, just because I was out of passes. So I'm just going to skip Animal Kingdom's, do a results day. Then we're going to be doing Hollywood Studios for the last day. So I'm like, that's perfect. Let's do that. That is so sad, Matthew, that the theater's still abandoned, and that there's an abandoned Stitch animatronic. That just breaks my heart. So much potential, so little time. And that theater still sits around, just like wonders of life in Epcot. So sad. I wish that Disney would revive Stitch's Great Escape. Another wild thing about Stitch's Great Escape is back in 2014, when it first opened, Disney actually taught TP to castle, TP Cinderella's castle as if Stitch did it, and boy, people weren't happy, especially people who could only go to the Magic Kingdom one day, only to find out that the really beautiful once-in-a-lifetime castle photos were going to be TP photos full of toilet paper and Stitch's graffiti. I feel that TP in the castle is something that Disneyland can get away with really easily, since Disneyland has a lot more regulars and repeat visitors. Unlike Disney World, that has a lot of people who come for once in a lifetime, and that's it, one and done. That I find really interesting is how Disney World is the theme park that you go to once in a lifetime, and that's most likely it for most people, one and done. And I find that really sad. I didn't know that Stitch's Great Escape opened in 2004, not 2014. Thank you for letting me know, Matthew. And long live Aliens Encounter, which was another really scary ride in the Magic Kingdom. I do wish I got to experience the Alien Encounter just for the heck of it. And I also still get nightmares from riding the Bug's Life. I still cannot stop thinking about the creepy crawlies and all the insects crawling under my seat. I have to show that out. Definitely a really terrifying show, which is why I'm glad that they actually replaced it with Zootopia. Zootopia is definitely a lot more palatable and family friendly, and it's a lot more accommodating for people like me who not like creepy crawlies. A lot of people do complain that Zootopia does not thematically fit Tree of Life, unlike Bug's Life. However, when I think about it, Zootopia uses when I think about Zootopia's plot, Zootopia is like, alright, we're going to show you on our Zootopia, and it feels like I'm being teleported from one movie theater to another. That's how I feel that Zootopia fits in the Tree of Life. So I just cannot believe that this year alone we lost A Bug's Life, Dinosaurland, Rock and Roller Coaster. We've lost so many great, amazing, and classic attractions. I get a feeling that Disney replaced Dinosaur just because it was not getting a lot of foot traffic. When I was there in 2023, my sister and I, we rode Dinosaur 8 times back to back, no lines, no queue. So I get a feeling that's why Disney decided to replace Dinosaur and all of Dinosaurland due to a lack of foot traffic. So I'm curious, Matthew, why is Zootopia a negative show? Oh, that really sucks, Matthew. Same with Snow White's Scary Adventures. There was enough parent and guest complaints that Disney ended up having to put Scary Adventure in front of the name Snow White. Alright, so here we go, Amy. Stitchy for you. Stitch. Oh, Stitchy. Ha 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 ha. You know it would be a really amazing retheme if Disney was to retheme Tower of Terror. Is to basically take all the great elements from the current Tower of Terror and Stitch's Great Escape, combine them into one ride, and have it be Stitch's Great Bellhop Escape. I would definitely ride a Stitch themed Tower of Terror. If Disney had no choice, I bet, come on, Disney, give us a big, beautiful Stitch's Great Escape, but Tower of Terror themed. What I can see is that the 5 passengers who get stuck in the hallways are waiting for. Actually, wait, even better. What I can see for the Stitch's Tower of Terror edition is that you have to go after Stitch, not you, but you have to help Leo go after Stitch, similar to how you help Rocket go after the Tivoli's Collector's Fortress, and you have to go after Bellhop Stitch and catch him and try to catch him as he's causing havoc in the hotel. Then, as you back up from the elevator, instead of the scary Twilight scene, you get an ending similar to Tiana's, where everybody's partying, and Stitch is like singing and playing out an Elvis song as you back out in your elevator com. That is a theme I could get behind, especially if Disney can secure the licenses to Elvis and Stitch. That's something I would definitely ride. No matter think about it, a Tower of Terror Stitch edition. And whenever you're doing the drops, you can get 1 to 6 songs similar to Mission Breakout, but instead of Mission Breakout songs, you get Elvis songs. One song would be, "You dress like an angel, you walk like the devil." The circle of heck, not circle of heck, but the ring of fire. Another one would be, hopefully they can do this, is Viva Las Vegas. I would love dropping to Viva Las Vegas. Heck yeah, woo! Heck yeah, me and Matthew. Let's see if Disney can materialize Stitch's great tower escape. If they cannot somehow, for some reason, keep the Twilight Zone licensing, but I really hope that Disney can keep the Twilight Zone licensing. And you know what's really ironic? Really ironic is how some people complain about Disney becoming too IP reliant. But what's ironic is just about every Disney ride, even in old school Disneyland, it was either sponsored by a company like Eastern Airlines, or like some sort of, I forgot the name of it, or Guinness Beer. But yet people complain about Disney becoming too commercialized and too IP driven. When in reality, when you look at every single Disney ride, except for Space Mountain, it's a smaller people move them. Every ride has an IP to it, has an IP tie. That is what I find really ironic. Even Casey's Junior Circus Train, there's a whole bunch, even on Casey's Junior Circus Train, it is themed after Dumbo, and you pass by Elsa's Castle. Same with Storybook Canal. That what gets me laughing. People be like, Disney using too many IPs, Disney's doing that, Disney's doing too many IPs. Why is Disney using all these repeat dried up IPs? But in reality, Disney's been using basically the same IPs since the 1960s and the 1990s filming era. That is what I've noticed. That's what I've noticed over the years when it comes to attractions. Is even if an attraction is replaced with an IP that we don't really care for, Disney will continue to use IPs in the attractions, just because Disneyland was built because the purpose of Disneyland was to promote Walt Disney's film and TV industry. And guess what, Dwight? The film and TV industry is also built on a bunch of IPs too. So that what I find to be a little bit of a conundrum lately. But yet I do realize that certain IPs belong in certain rides, and some IPs fit better in certain aspects of the park, especially if an IP is not being overused. So here we got Bellhops Stitch. Oh, that sucks. Oh, I didn't know that Stitch's Great Escape was the worst ride ever. Maybe if Disney was able to combine Stitch's Great Escape with the soundtrack of Mission Break, this Elvis version of Mission Breakout, that would be a ride out of ride, especially if they keep the Hollywood Tower Hotel facade. The reason I believe that Disney will keep the Hollywood Tower Hotel facade is that every single thing is that Disney is not changing over the merch, or is not completely cutting out the Tower of Terror merchandise. We keep on seeing a bunch of new merch that says the Hollywood Tower Hotel instead of the Twilight Zone, which gives me a really strong indicator that Disney is going to keep the Tower of Terror, even if it's just the exterior and a completely different interior, similar to the Chinese theater in Hollywood studios. Well, with that being said, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. We will see you next Sunday at our usual time, 8:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if you know, you know. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Amy Stitch Love. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, CJL. Thank you, Gutty, Cruise Theme Park Guide. Thank you so much. It means a lot that you are all here tonight. We will see you around tomorrow. Thank you so much, everybody. Not tomorrow, but we'll see you on next week. But stay tuned for more for your daily dose of Tao videos. So see you on, everybody. Bye bye.